Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Jessica Be Real. Today we're going to be doing a Q&A. I put on my stories on my social media a few weeks ago, ask me anything, and I had quite a few responses, so let's get into it. So, one of the biggest questions I got asked was about my fitness and my dating life. So, you guys want to know what my workout routine looks like. So, when I'm here in Miami, I work out, I lift weights 3 to 4 times a week. I have a lot more time when I'm here to focus on the gym and walking. When I'm in New York, I try to work out 2 to 3 times while I'm there in that 10-day span. But when I'm here, I have a pretty strict workout regimen. So, like I said, I lift weights 3 to 4 times a week, and a lot of times they're full body workouts. Sometimes I'll do just legs, sometimes I'll do just upper body, but a lot of times it's just full body workouts. And then I really do try to get my 10,000 steps a day in. So that I never realized like how many steps that actually is. Um, you know, I feel like I end up walking maybe like an hour and a half to try to get those 10,000 steps a day in. There was one day I did like 17,000 steps, and let me tell you, I slept so good that night. When I'm in New York, I'm on my feet all the time working, but I really don't get any steps in. So when I'm here, I really do focus on that. I think it's one thing that really does, keep you lean. Last year, before I even moved here, I started going to the gym at night and doing incline walking. And around that time, I started really dialing in on my eating as well. And those two things put together, I feel like that really made such a difference with getting lean. Of course, like what you're eating, what you're putting into your body every single day is huge. I mean, you can work out all you want, but if you are eating crap all the time, then you're not going to see the results that you want. A question that I get asked a lot is, don't you get sick of eating the same things every day? Because I really do eat a lot of the same things every single day. Sometimes I'll switch up like my dinners. I rotate between, I don't know, maybe like 2 to 4 different things. But my breakfast is always the same, my lunch is always the same, and my snacks are pretty much always the same too. So I think when it comes to that, I don't get bored. I think it's like mind over matter. Like being consistent with your eating and eating the same things day in and day out, you really don't have to think about, okay, what am I going to eat today? What am I going to make today? You just already know. And after being consistent with it over months and seeing the results it gives you, it gets a lot easier to stick with it because you're like, okay, this is working. So this is what I know, and I'm going to stick with this. But you have to give it enough time and be consistent with it. When last year when I really dialed into my eating, I maybe had a cheat meal like once every couple of weeks. And to tell you the truth, I looked forward to those meals so much. Like there was a night I ordered a pizza and a cannoli, and I was so freaking excited to spend that Friday night. I literally ate pizza in bed, and it was just such a treat. And I mean, I remember years ago, I would eat pizza maybe like a few times a week. So just like having that discipline and that self-control. And, it really is nice to be able to look forward to meals like that, knowing like, okay, I put in the work and I've been so disciplined, like I deserve to have this treat. Having a personal trainer has helped me so much in learning kind of what works for my body and learning how to exercise correctly, doing, the exercises the right way instead of just kind of rushing through it and doing what I think is right. So I totally suggest if you're starting your workout journey, invest in a personal trainer, because you're going to learn so much and you're going to gain so much confidence from that. And you'll be more confident to be able to go out on your own and work out by yourself if you have that foundation. Like having a fit body and having the self-control to be able to, have the body that you really want is everything. It gives you the confidence. Having that self-control gives you the confidence. Once you start seeing the results that you want, it gives you confidence, and people look at you differently when you have a fit body. It means you take care of yourself. It means you have discipline, you have self-control, and people do truly look at you differently. People approach you differently. And yes, it's the inner work that comes along with it, like the confidence you build from it. But even just walking into a room, people respect you more because your body shows those things. Your first impression really speaks for itself. All right. And so, as far as the question for dating in Miami, I know like so many of you wonder about this. My hair clients in New York, I really do open up to them about all the details about that. So, have I went on dates? Yes. Have I met a lot of interesting people? Yes. The specific question that I got asked was, how is dating different in Miami versus New York? And I'd say it's 100% completely different. I think being in such a small town, because I don't live in New York City, I live in a small town in upstate New York. So I think from being from like a small town, you get to know everybody. Everybody knows your history. And that totally impacts your dating life. There's only so many people. And, when you're in business and, you get to know a lot of different people, their history, and it's like you automatically rule people out because of certain things. And now being in such a big city like Miami, there's so many people. And so many people doing different things and so many different cultures, which is something that I have never experienced before. All of the places I've lived, has been in upstate New York. So just being able to meet people from different cultures, I find it so interesting. And I'm just learning so much about that. Not to go off on a tangent, but I seriously want to learn another language. I thought I wanted to learn Spanish, which I probably will because that's like a main language here. But like I really want to learn like one or two different languages, because that's something I've really come to appreciate here, is just the different cultures. And, a lot of the people I meet, they can speak two or more different languages. And I don't know, I just feel like I'm kind of the outsider here when it comes to that. Like going out and people are like, oh, where are you from? And I'm like, oh, New York. And they don't roll their eyes, but it's like there's so many people from New York here. And, that's the only place I've ever lived. So, a lot of my friends, they are from different countries. And I just find that so interesting. Honestly, it makes me want to learn more about, my family history and where we came from, because that's something that's really important to people here. But not to go off on a big tangent there, but getting back to the dating, yes, like I said, in New York, you only have so many people that you can meet. And when you've been there a long time, the dating pool is, you just feel like you know everybody. There's only so many options. And for me, it got a little depressing. Being here, I just feel like people don't live in a box. Not a lot of people are from here. So they've explored different countries and cities, and they just have more of an open and growth mindset here, which is something I absolutely love because that's something I'm super passionate about. So being able to right now just meet different people and figure out, like, I'm still learning what I really want in a relationship. That's something that I never really asked myself before, because there was only so many options, and now, meeting people with different backgrounds and cultures and, different careers, it really does make you think like, okay, what do I really want in somebody? Like, what are my non-negotiables? What are things that I'm not going to deal with? And what are the things that I'm like, no, this, I have to have this, this, and this. You never know what you truly want unless you ask yourself those questions. And you never really even know what you want until you put yourself in different environments, like going out on dates and meeting new people. It's like I've learned, like, okay, the things that I wanted before, I don't want now. And things that I never even thought that I've wanted are things that are non-negotiable to me now, because I've put myself in those different experiences in those situations. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like my mindset has completely expanded. But I wouldn't have known that unless I put myself in that situation, unless I would have moved here and, opened myself back up to dating. My dating life is something I like to keep a little more private. I mean, understandably, like, I've had some pretty crazy experiences. I never want to like offend anybody, or, that's why I kind of leave the juicy details to my friends and like my clients. I mean, my clients truly are like my friends, and so I leave those details a little more private. But once I start seeing somebody on a serious note, you guys will definitely be one of the first to know. One other thing I want to say before we get off the topic of dating is, I think I've said this in a previous podcast, is that one of the main differences I see with men here versus other places I've lived in upstate New York is men here, first of all, are not afraid to approach, which I love that. Like the confidence that comes along with that, like seeing like, just having the confidence to be able to go up to somebody and approach them and say hi, that's not something that you see everywhere. And also, I feel like men down here are more of that provider mindset. And I've never been in a relationship where the man has that provider instinct, like I'm the man of the relationship, I'm the leader, and, basically they want to take care of you, which is something I can totally appreciate now. The relationships I've been in the past, it's always like 50-50, and I think what comes along with that is the woman has like that masculine energy because she also has to be the provider. But there's something so nice about just thinking, of being in a relationship where it's like, I still want to do everything that I'm doing, but like I don't have that stress of like, okay, I have to do this because this is what's expected. So that's been really nice, just seeing like another side of things, something that I've never experienced before. So enough about that for now. One of the other questions I got asked is, do I think everybody should move to Florida? So I am going to kind of open this question up because, like, of course, like I absolutely love Florida. I can't imagine not living here now. Like I could never be back in New York full time. So, right now, like I love my schedule. I love being in New York part-time and in Florida part-time. But as far as Florida, no, I don't think Florida is for everybody. Like it's friggin' hot here right now. Like I feel like I step outside and it's just like instantly sweating. I go through like 3 outfits a day. That's not for everybody. And there's other certain aspects like living in Miami, like city life isn't for everybody. Of course, there's other areas of Florida that aren't city. Florida is such a beautiful state. But I truly believe that you need to move out of your hometown or the place you've always lived to be able to build a different life. You will not be able to build a different life being in the same environment, around the same people, doing the same things that you've always done. Like I was talking about, dating life, you don't know what you really want unless you experience different things. So, yeah, I think everybody should move out of their hometown, move to a different state. I don't know necessarily that you should like get a map out and just be like, "Oh, I'm going to go here." No, I mean, I think that you should start by traveling to the places that you've always kind of felt drawn to. Like, oh, always wanted to go here or there. Pay attention to those little instincts that you have, because those, don't just brush those off. Those are there for a reason. So start by going on like a weekend trip to these places. See how you feel there. Like that's when you get the most inspired. And then when you get to a place where you feel like, oh my gosh, this like already feels like home. This feels like expansion. This feels like my next chapter. Do not ignore that. Even when you think, how could I ever even make this work? Start entertaining the idea, because honestly, it's probably a lot easier than you think. And it's only your negative thoughts and your fear that's holding you back. Like reverse engineer the process, There's always a way if you are determined enough and it's something that you really want. You have to push that fear aside. You have to have more of a fear of like, okay, what if I don't do this? Will I regret it? That fear has to be greater than the fear of actually taking the leap and doing it. This life is all about, who can I become? Who can I impact today? How can I be a positive influence on other people? It's not meant to live in the same routines and doing the same things that you've always done. I was just talking to a friend about this a couple of days ago, just the different seasons in life. And yes, some seasons are meant for settling in the same routine and the same place. And, you're not always going to be like, have this growth mindset all of the time. Like if something's working and you are happy, then yeah, maybe that season is good for you. But trust those instincts when they come, like, oh, okay, well, this worked for me then, but it's not working for me now. So what is this pointing me towards? Like, what are these thoughts trying to tell me about where I'm supposed to go next, about what I'm supposed to be doing next? And there's going to be seasons where you feel lost too. You're going to be like, okay, like I know I'm not meant for this, but the next step hasn't fully appeared yet. And I think just having such deep faith and trust in yourself during those times is where the most growth happens. So that's all the time I have for today. I love doing these Q&As. Like always, if you have something you want me to share on the podcast or open up about, always send me a message. I love having the different ideas. I want to know what you guys want to hear. So that is it for today. Until next time, see you then.